Hey guys, what's going on? This is Brad from the Ad Army, and today Digimon is finally back as it's time to dive deep, as we're going to be going over one of my favorite things to emerge out of this year, that being the Digimon collaborative effort, or basically the collab with Godzilla. I'm just a huge fan. I'm just a really good thing to be looking at, and I'm really thankful that this has been made. I just also want to welcome you back. If you have been one of my Digimon fans that have been on hiatus, I apologize. I hadn't made any Digimon content in a while just because I hadn't really had the time to sit down thanks to the job I was working. And now that I have the time, I am finally able to look back and spend more time on Digimon. Will still be making Yu-Gi-Oh content as well, just because I'm doing both. I've been playing more Yu-Gi-Oh, but also I've been paying attention to Digimon, so I have not ignored my favorite thing and also my biggest reason for starting the channel. So we do have that here. But going over it, as you can tell with the thumbnail, we are talking about just something so amazing in terms of bringing together, I would argue, Japan's biggest icon in terms of just an international recognition. I mean, if you see a giant lizard and you see that has spikes and it kind of looks like a bipedal dinosaur, everyone's going to say it's Godzilla almost, or looks like it. Usually that is the thing. They think about Godzilla first, and we are talking about the collaborative designs. And like I said, I'm just going to be a fan and talk about them directly, because I'm just a massive fan of the ones we got. Yes, they're all Greymon related, but this is one of the best things in terms of, the main focus of Digimon kind of usually being around the adventure archetype, but also the adventure Digimon as well. And the amazing thing I like to see is that we have Godzilla, being one of these massive, I would say, inspirations for a lot of the different monster themed things that come out of Japan. Like, kaijus are huge besides just like folktale and legends. So Godzilla is obviously one of those big inspirations, and obviously a lot of Digimon designs take some elements sometimes for like Godzilla designs, especially something like why am I always blanking on, like, Dinomon? That one kind of is very reminiscent to Burning Godzilla. But we are talking about these designs here, the four that were created in the collaborative effort. This means down the line that there might be more, I hope. But for right now, we are just having four specific designs. We'll go over each of them, and I'm just really thrilled because I want to talk about maybe some of the introspections of their designs and kind of their inspiration, as well as what they mean for me and hopefully for you guys. Starting off, we have War Greymon, and we are having probably one of my favorite collabs in terms of the design collaboration, Godzilla, and I think specifically the more MonsterVerse Godzilla in its evolved form being mixed with War Greymon to bring us War Greymon G Erosion. I just think this is a fantastic concept, but also love the name based on what the concept of these designs are on, which is that the G cells, which, they're a thing in the Godzilla verse. So if you're not familiar, please check them out. Point is, they've overwhelmed the Digimon. So the Digimon that they have attached to, they overwhelm them and have created the erosion of the form. So effectively, a Godzilla form is spawning off of off of War Greymon, and I really love this concept because I like this because when we get into the next design, which is Metal Greymon, we really see that with the G Erosion on War Greymon, we see this really cool concept of Godzilla's influence on War Greymon. So, War Greymon is the embodiment, the impeccable warrior of courage, and Godzilla is usually referred to as an engine of destruction, or like kind of the leveler. It usually has Godzilla not really taking a side of any particular like dynamic. It's usually Godzilla is just Godzilla wrecking havoc, or Godzilla does what it does for its own sake. But with the inspiration here being that it's kind of taking over War Greymon, maybe War Greymon's getting an indirect balance boost. So instead of being that super stoic warrior that's just the epitome of courage, we have a mixture of a creature and a warrior that can basically be the engine of destruction, but uses this power in a more defensive manner as well, maybe because we are losing a lot of the armor of War Greymon, but in return having this more bulky usable body of Godzilla. Those scales are extremely tough. Godzilla is very much renowned for being hit with attacks that don't do much damage to its physical body, and it can regenerate because the MonsterVerse colors are usually because of the spikes as well as the color pattern. So I'm seeing like this purplish hue, so this makes me to believe that this Godzilla a form of War Greymon with the G Erosion must have some more power capacity thanks to the use of the Godzilla power, but also it's just an awesome design. Lacking one Dramon Destroyer on one hand is fine when you can make it up for with absolute strength. So I just love the concept. I love the design, and G Erosion is just such a cool form. Now, talking about the next one, we have two of my favorite combinations. So we have Metal Greymon being mixed with Godzilla. I really like to believe that it's mixed more with the 2000 inspiration of Godzilla, so Godzilla 2000 and the Millennium Godzilla, based on the physical like little toy they've designed for the Metal Greymon Godzilla. You'll see it in a minute if I have the picture for it. But this design that we have, I just love the concept of Godzilla's body overtaking the Metal Greymon body and effectively starting to change it. So we have like a cyborg Godzilla, which is something that we have seen once in terms of, I think it's like the 2000 Godzilla spin-off series. There was like a cyborg Godzilla, but we are talking about here, this is a literal cyborg Godzilla Metal Greymon, which is Metal Greymon G-Erosion. This one has all of the best parts of Metal Greymon, which is like the cybernetics being half eroded by the Godzilla cells, but Godzilla cells have also given a massive power boost. And actually something I keep forgetting is that Metal Greymon does have a tail. Like you only really see him use it like a couple times as a weapon, which makes sense, but having it be armored with the spikes and also having the wings of this new Metal Greymon form being jaggedy and spiky really does lend to the fact that maybe this Metal Greymon is more aggressive and offensive, taking the best abilities of the actual Godzilla cells that have been incorporated into it and maximizing its actual output. As funny enough, Metal Greymon is very strong, but it rarely uses its other arm. We usually see stuff like, you know, when you get like Alterius mode and stuff like that, where it changes its arm into another weapon. In this case, it has raw power. This also means that its mouth attack, which it usually uses sometimes, would be very cool, because imagine an atomic breath. I just think it's very amazing that this design is here. I think it's really cool, kind of radical, and it does blend really well with the whole sci-fi elements added from all the different like sci-fi films, but also adding Godzilla to it, and a Digimon design that's very iconic is very cool. Also like the fact that we still know that it is Greymon underneath, because we see the orange parts, which I think is pretty cool to know that this isn't just like a Godzilla almost completely taken over. There is still the Metal Greymon parts of Greymon there with Metal Greymon G-Erosion. Now, my next one is actually probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite design, just because I love how it came out. As we combined two of my favorite things, like the skeleton of Godzilla is cool, and we also have Skull Greymon becoming the Skull Greymon. I believe this is also a G-Erosion form, but I could be wrong. Main reason I love this design is that this is like one of the coolest ways to bring us something we don't see often, because Godzilla skeletons are kind of used as I would say a plot point in a lot of films when they exist. So like we know that the bones of the first Godzilla are an iconic scene from the original movie. Additionally, in the Millennium series, when they designed Kiryu, which is Mechagodzilla, which I'll talk about in a minute, it was used with the skeleton of the original 1954 Godzilla, which leads to its own thing. I love the fact that Skull Greymon's design is, you either love it or you hate it, I think, because Skull Greymon is such an iconic Digimon because of its appearance and adventure, but it is not everyone's favorite. I remember people always saying it looks stupid, it looks dumb, but it's mostly because it's a very big departure from Greymon, in my opinion, just off of how it looks. So by incorporating the entire skeleton, effectively being overtaken by the Godzilla cells, but still retaining the no flesh and having the large torpedo in its back, I still think that this is a really cool addition to the Skull Greymon Digimon, because I just think this design is very slick and clean. It also shows how ferocious probably this form would be, because it has all these jagged spines, unlike with, you know, the normal Skull Greymon. It's kind of spooky looking already, but you wouldn't really think this thing would like run you over. Like we see Skull Greymon, you think it's just going to try to like blow you up with the thing on its back or try to swipe you. This thing looks like it would ferociously hunt you down, and I think that the trap jaw, jaw that it has is just even more intimidating, because with this really cool, like it drops out of its mouth and it's like, ooh, that thing looks like it wants to eat you type thing. And I just love the spikes. I think like the design on Skull Greymon G-Erosion is just really cool, and I just love this feeling of it being more an intimidating monster than anything else. But going into our last one, I want to talk about, we have the combination design and a new Machinedramon design that I absolutely love, as we combined it with elements of Millennium Mechagodzilla, that being Kiryu, as we have this form of Machinedramon. Now, the main reason I love this one is because I actually have a big soft spot for Kiryu, because I really love its design in the Mechagodzilla Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, and then Godzilla Tokyo SOS. I'm just a big fan of Kiryu because I think design-wise, it has the most blended forms of the Mechagodzillas, having this still machine aspect, but definitely looking more up to, like, I would say modern standards of what we would expect a mech to look like. So I do have those elements there. But talking about the design, why I love it, it incorporates lots of great elements from Kiryu. So the first thing is the drill hand, obviously being a modified edition of the Metal Greymon hand that can form into the drill, which is used as a weapon to defeat the Godzilla in the film. Additionally, the rail cannon on the other arm of Machinedramon, I'm not gonna lie, it looks like it was just slapped there. The only reason I kind of don't like this is that although it's cool, it just feels like kind of someone was like, hey, just put that on it really quick. I feel like maybe if the hand was integrated with the rail gun, it would make a bit more sense to me, but yeah, it was the design that they went for. I also love that one of the cannons on its back is modified to be like the launcher from Mechagodzilla. I think the design there was really cool. And also adorning the head of the actual design of this, you know, Machinedramon into a more stylistic form of Kiryu, having the little raised fin on the top of its head, gives it a little bit, and the kind of the puggy looking face of Godzilla. I just think is a really cool design aesthetic that they really went out of their way to kind of blend some details in here. Like I said, fix the railgun issue, and I think it looks a lot better, but it's still cool nonetheless, as this Machinedramon is built for war, as all of them are. And I almost feel like this is a dynamic flip, where if, say, there was like some type of lore story about this, I could definitely see that War Greymon would take its place as maybe the antagonist if they wanted to try this, and have the new modified Machinedramon attempt to be a hero, stopping this one like War Greymon that has the G erosion, while this new mecha Machinedramon is designed to try to fight it off. Very, very cool, and I really love it because thematically they took, if you're taking inspiration from some of the evolution designs too, you could have the G erosion Skull Greymon turning into this Machinedramon, and this is only because Machinedramon itself, if we're going it by the movie story of Kiryu, right, that Digimon or that Godzilla was based on the 1954 Godzilla, which, you know, the skeleton design of the new Skull Greymon is heavily inspired by. So there's a lot of like implications here that I love a lot, and I think it's just really cool. But guys, I'm gonna close the video here because, you know, you don't need to hear me geek out too much about it. I just really want to talk about something positive in terms of just talking about Digimon, because I'm very glad to be coming back in to the scene. I will be having more Digimon content coming out soon. I'm just very glad I was able to, you know, talk about these characters in terms of their new designs, and also love the form changes, because it's like, you know, moi, like I love it a lot. So I do hope this helped you guys out, and I do hope you enjoyed it, and expect more Digimon content coming soon. Like I said, just something very easy to have me segue into, as I know a lot of people like these. And let me know down below what you think of the designs. Like I said, I really like them. I hope they show up in media. I hope maybe in Time Stranger, maybe DLC or something, we can get that. Card game, I'd love to have these as cards. They'd be really cool, and I would just love to see what happens. But guys, like I said, I'm getting out of here. Have a great day and a good start of your week. And as always, this has been Brad from the Ed Army signing off. And for all of you out there, to sign on.